Testing on. First, we begin with type of heat exchanger. There's several types of heat exchanger. One is the parallel flow, and the other one is the counter flow. The parallel flow is actually where the cold liquid and the the hot liquid, which brings the heat, is flowing parallelly to each other. So heat hot in, this is hot out, and the cold liquid in, and this is the way of calling it. So they are parallel. So this is where the temperature of hot liquid is high and cold liquid is low. They meet each other, and at the final stage the temperature is almost similar to each other. Okay, the other one is counter flow, where the cold liquid is flowing on the opposite direction from the hot liquid. Okay, so if you see the characteristic, the hot temperature will meet the warmer cold fluid, and from timely they will meet the cold fluid, and lastly the hot fluid will become colder, and the cold fluid will get some of the heat from the hot fluid. Okay, we also have heat exchange type like compact heat exchanger. So this is had a large heat transfer surface area per unit volume. We can find this kind of compact heat exchanger in a car radiator or human lung. And a heat exchanger with area density of beta is more than 700 meters square per meter cube. So the area of heat exchanger is above 700 meters square inside 1 meter cube. Is classified to be a compact heat exchanger. Another heat exchanger type is the cross flow. In compact heat exchanger, two fluids usually move perpendicular to each other. A cross flow is further classified as unmixed or mixed flow. So you can see here, cross flow, there will be cold liquid flowing to this direction, whereas the hot liquid in the tube flowing to the perpendicular direction. We can have this kind, or here mix. This is unmixed because the flow will only go to one area, but this one, the flow is flowing will meet high temperature hot liquid, or they can also meet the cold temperature liquid. So we call one fluid mix, one fluid unmixed. Another type of heat exchanger is shell and tube heat exchanger. This is very common heat exchanger in the industrial application, as I have shown you before when we go to the chiller room in a centralized unit aircon in FKE. We have seen the chiller. Usually they will have this kind of cylinder type. So this actually we call a shell tube heat exchanger. They contain a large number of tubes, sometimes several hundreds, packed inside a shelf, and parallel to that in the shelf, and then heat transfer take place as one fluid flows inside the tubes while the other fluids outside the tubes through the shell. So we can see shell inlet here, and the water will, from shell inlet will go out here. So for hot or for the colder liquid, will come through here, and it will take some of the heat from the hot liquid, and then it will go out here. So this is a schematic of a shell tube heat exchanger, what we call one shell pass and one tube pass. So inside it, if you see it the flow, you can see here, this one is a cold water, cold liquid, and after run through this tube, the cold liquid will take some of the heat and go out as a warmer water, meaning to say that inside the tube is a hot water. Okay, we have seen the chiller last time, but we cannot see inside the chiller. This is uh, what is inside the chiller, the shell and tube heat exchanger. I think we only see outside it. So actually the shell and tube is bringing in to the cylinder. Other types of heat exchanger is the regenerative heat exchanger. This one involves alternate passage of the hot and cold fluid streams through, for example like this, shell in and then go out. So the hot liquid also in, they have heat in and out. This is one shell, one tube, but if you have several tubes inside, or the tube is going uh, making a U shape several times, we call it as two shell passes and four tube passes. Okay. Another one is a dynamic type generator, involves a rotating drum and continuous flow of the hot and cold fluid through different portion of drum, so that any portion of drum passes radically through the hot stream, storing heat, and then through the cold stream, rejecting this stored heat. Okay, the other types of heat exchanger is using in the condense. One of the fluids is cold and the condenses as it flows to the heat exchanger. And inside a boiler also we have a heat exchanger where one of the fluid absorbs heat and vaporizes.